How's it going? I apologise for my voice today. I've got a little bit of a cold, so I'm a bit nasally, very sorry. And because there will be questions in the comments, I've sprayed my wrist, I've strapped it with vet wrap because vet wrap is fantastic for fixing sprains. A few of you know recently I travelled to Amsterdam about a week ago, and this actually ended up being a solo trip. I was entirely on my own travelling from the UK to Amsterdam. I've only ever travelled entirely alone once before, and that was last year when I did a road trip to Scotland and spent 5 days up there just moseying around doing my own thing. But this time around it was originally planned that I would be going with a bunch of friends. However, people couldn't get the time off work. My boyfriend had training that he had to get to for his job, so I ended up travelling on my own, and I was very excited about that actually. I was very excited the first time travelling abroad entirely alone and not meeting anyone out there. I get quite a few questions like, you know, is it scary? Should I do it? And I'll be honest, travelling alone really does wonders for you. I think everyone should do it at least once. We spend all this time surrounded by people, having to make group decisions and not really thinking about what's around us, not being too switched on. And I found it did a lot for my self-confidence doing this, because I'm generally, when I'm with other people, I switch off to my surroundings and kind of just follow the leader, and it's not really good for keeping yourself alert in a situation, and I end up not really being an important voice in a group when it comes to going places either. So for me to travel from Manchester all the way to Amsterdam, to then get a train and a bus to my accommodation, then get back into the city using public transport, and then repeatedly do that until I came home on the Monday, was quite a confidence boost for me. I suddenly thought, actually, I can handle myself a little bit. It also increases your self-awareness of your belongings, the people around you. You're far more switched on to what's happening around you. And if you're someone that's a little bit ditzy, I mean, I would say I'm a bit that way, it switches you on to what's going on around you. It makes you a little bit more savvy. The other great thing is there's no compromise at all. If you want to walk 20 miles in a day and then go sit in a bar for 4 hours, no one's going to stop you. It is all down to you what you do. And I really like that. I like being a little bit selfish. There's no compromise. I got to do everything I wanted to do. And if it was going to take half an hour to walk to the other side of town to go to a specific restaurant that I really wanted to try, no one was going to stop me. There was no debating. It was, hey, I can go, I can do that. And most days I walked about 20,000 steps. I didn't get up terribly early. I didn't go to bed ridiculously late. One evening I decided to call it quits early and go back to my hotel because I decided I'd had enough of the tourists and just wanted to be alone. And then the next night I was out until about 11, 12-ish. It was entirely up to me what I did. And that opportunity to be wholly selfish with your holiday, there's just something really freeing about it. And it gives you time to be with yourself, because we spend so much time surrounded by people. We are always in conversation, and we never really tune in to ourselves and what our wants and needs are, our emotions, our feelings. We don't really switch on to ourselves enough. So in that time, you get to really get to know yourself in a very unique circumstance. You get to see how you react to different situations, and you can do a bit of self-analysis in this situation, which I'm a geek for. I love that sort of stuff. I don't know if that's other people's thing, but I think it's really healthy to be alone with yourself, to switch off from other people's commentary and be wholly ourselves and just get to know yourself a little bit. And I'm generally a fairly sociable person. I will talk to strangers on the off chance. It's probably something I got from my mum. She's very talkative. She'll talk to anyone, and that's kind of rubbed off on me. And being a solo traveller, you tend to talk to people a lot more. You tend to start a conversation. When you're with someone, you're in your own bubble. And when you're on your own, you pay attention to conversations next to you. And sometimes you'll dive on in, or you'll just have a moment with another traveller, or you can really, I had a really good time. I was in what is the Moulin Rouge, and there were a bunch of ladies on a 40th birthday party, and one came and sat right next to me, and I ended up having a great time. I had a right laugh. So going on your own means you connect with other travellers and people around you, and you can get to know their experiences. I met so many different people, and it was really fun. So as you can see, I'm quite in favour of people having adventures on their own. I think it's really good for you. I think everyone should do it at least once, just for the experience. But I would have a few tips for people who maybe want to do it but kind of aren't entirely sure about it. I'd say start off by choosing an easy country. And what I mean by that is one that's got a culture similar to your home country or what you're used to. So, I mean, by all means do it if you want, but don't go gallivanting off to Asia or something, because the culture's so different, and for someone who's a bit daunted by the idea of being on their own, it might be a bit much. Although I'm not saying don't do it, I'm just saying take it with a bit more caution. But if it's something you wanted to do more regularly, start off with an easy country, which I thought Amsterdam was great in Holland, because Holland, I'd say it's fairly similar, like, culture-wise to the UK. Obviously there's differences. But then, and also a lot of people speak English, which really helps, because not everyone has the time to learn a second language. Let's be realistic. So go somewhere where a lot of people should generally speak your language, or you can figure it out. Or if you speak their language, that's really cool, because it's going to help your language improve. But go somewhere which is fairly straightforward to start with if you're feeling like you're lacking confidence. It's a good way to get started and kind of dip a toe without overdoing it and scaring yourself. Another thing is print off or screenshot all your paperwork. So have your flight numbers on hand, have the addresses of where you're staying, passports obviously, but either keep it screenshotted or keep it in paper form, because you won't always be able to have access to the internet where you are. So always just keep that on hand. I mean, screenshots are great in your phone because then you've got less bulk on you, but if paperwork's your thing, do that as well. Print off maps if you need to, if you're worried. So then you've got those resources on hand. You're not diving into the unknown entirely, but you've got a little bit. So what I did, I wrote down all my flight numbers, I took pictures of them on my phone, all the times of my flights, who I was flying with, and then I also had the address for where I was staying, contact numbers, all of that. So I made sure I had a little bit of a plan for my first night, basically, because when you arrive in a new country, you're going to be feeling a bit tired. You're going to be feeling a bit, oh my god, my brain hurts. You spent the whole day taking in information. Traveling is hard on you, and most people don't realise it, I think. Or we don't really register it being hard on you, but it is, because you're taking in so much information and processing so much. Another thing is, make sure you are aware of your surroundings, your belongings, and the people around you. So think about, where did you put your phone? Is it in a well-zipped pocket? Or is it in an inside pocket? Don't leave it in your back pocket where it's open for pickpockets to come grab it off you. Keep an eye on the people around you. Every now and again, especially as a woman, you have the risk of being followed, because unfortunately that's the society we live in, where some individuals think it's okay to follow someone home. I mean, the same thing happens to men, but it's obviously a little less common. However, be aware, because you're in a different country, you don't know where you are. They do. They know all the little nooks and crannies. So be aware, and if you think someone's following you, turn around, make eye contact, maybe even ask them for the time, so then they can be identified in a lineup. That's a little tip I heard. Just be aware of everything going on. Just be switched on to what's happening, because it's basic safety. Hello, Fat Cat. Hello. We have a guest. It's Fat Cat. You gonna sit down? What are you doing? Fat Cat doesn't like being picked up, so I'm not gonna pick him up. And my final point, enjoy it. Be indulgent. Take in the sights. Go see what you want to see. Don't be scaremongered as such. Don't be like, oh, I can't do that because of this. Go do it. I wandered through the red light district. Not a problem, because it's so public. It's fine. Just be aware. So just use some common sense. if you are worried, do research on the country. You know, check things out a little bit. Make plans if that's the way you like to do it. Some of us like to just disappear and not really make a plan. I had a list of a few places I went to see but didn't really plan them out. But just enjoy it. Be aware and have a great time. Until next time, guys, from me and Fat Cat, until next time, guys, stay strong. Fat Cat, you help it.